how did the big surprise with Jonathan Roumie at St. Gertrude, the St. Gertrude School in Madeira happen? Kelly Woodward, who puts on our big sponsor appreciation night for the men's conference the night before, called me, and you're on a committee, is that right?
Yes. St. Gertrude's is celebrating their 100th year anniversary, and I am the Centennial Chair. We are doing a number of events throughout the year to commemorate the 100 years. And you and I were talking about the men's conference, and when you told me that Jonathan Roumie was coming, we have an event that we planned for a watch party of The Chosen.
And so the idea was, wouldn't it be amazing if Jonathan popped out behind the screen afterwards?
Yes.
So we went through the whole rigmarole, I guess, of getting that all organized, and we were in the van coming, but what was it like? Like, I wasn't there in the gym before.
Well, there were over 600 people there. And we were watching The Chosen, and I was, I think, just talking with you back and forth about timing, and we had to bring Jonathan Roumie in the back door behind the stage. But to watch all of the people, I mean, they're just watching the movie, but we did tell them there was a special surprise, but no one really knew what that was. So it was really exciting for the handful of people that did know what the surprise was and just waiting.
Yes.
Kelly's our host tonight, everyone.
How are you?
Kelly, Jonathan Roumie.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for being here. We have over 600 people. Oh, wow. Over 600 people. Well, not just kids.
Do you think they have any idea?
I think they have a little bit of an idea.
Oh, they do.
I'm not everyone, but we did do signs that said if you're a fan of The Chosen, please come, and it will be a big surprise.
I could walk out first and say, I'm a fan too, when I'm here.
I was going to say, I don't know
say
if
throw
they
them a red
know
herring.
how big
Exactly,
the
yeah, what else do we
surprise
do?
is.
This was during Lent. I mean, perfect timing. And it was a Friday evening. We had people showing up because they saw all the cars at the school wanting to know if we had a fish fry. I don't even know if I told you that. We had people coming to the back door that Jonathan Roumie is supposed to come into, asking for fish.
Well, I guess we kind of did have the Jesus character. Maybe
Exactly.
You could have loaves and fishes night.
Exactly.
So backstage, Jonathan comes out from behind the shelving when the door's shut, and he knows people won't see him. And Kelly, you walk us up through the stairs to the backstage. The whole stage is dark with a big curtain that's closed.
Right.
And on the other side of that curtain is the whole gymnasium.
Is the whole gymnasium, yes. And that's where they were watching The Chosen. There was a big screen.
Right.
So he was literally able to walk behind the curtain, behind the screen, and just come out on stage.
Right. And
where people were just watching him.
Right. And I had to convince you to introduce him. We had a conversation about that. I think you called me a couple of times, like, hey, what if?
Are you sure you want me to? Yes.
So what was that like with the kids staring at you and knowing right behind that curtain, Jonathan?
And 600 people. Little nerve-wracking, but absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. It is so wonderful to see everyone here tonight. Thank you for coming. And we have a special guest for you, Jonathan Roumie. The reaction, because once he stepped out on stage, you know, when you see in the movies celebrities, the screaming, the yelling, there were people screaming and yelling and him signing autographs, and these kids were just amazed.
It was an unbelievable experience. In fact, during your introduction, you were saying some things it was interesting, kind of setting it up. and there was a point where you go, and I had a really special friend that wanted to swing by. At that moment, I was standing and to open the curtain, and Jonathan's right in front of me. He goes, "You should walk out there. You should walk out there." And then you go, "Jonathan Roumie," and he looks at me and goes, "Darn it." And then I swung it open, he walked out, and I thought that was kind of funny, that it just kind of showed his sense of humor and how love. But yes, when he stepped out, it was so magical. I mean, it was just so hard to describe the way that the kids reacted. You could see on their faces they were in shock. They didn't know what to do, and then they started their smiles on their faces, and they just couldn't believe it was kind of setting in. And he comes out and just starts talking to them. And we hand him the microphone.
Well, and that you just hit on that. You said his sense of humor, but his personality and able to connect with the crowd. Like, you see that firsthand. You're watching him on The Chosen, and he's connecting with people on that show, but he connects with people in a real way in person.
Yeah, and we saw that when I remember he's finishing up his talk, and the children start coming closer. And to us, it was almost like, it's a weird to say, but it's almost like, could this have been what it would have been like to actually be an apostle, to see people react to Christ back in the day, and the innocence and the joy on these kids' faces. And a young girl is just standing there, I'll never forget this, and she just decides to hand this diary she had in her hand to Jonathan. And of course he looks at it, he grabs it, and he starts signing it. And she's like, "Can you sign more pages?" He started signing them. He's just one page after another. There had been 55 to 100 pages in this thing. He was gonna sign every single one of them. So then another little girl looked at the diary and said, "Oh yeah, like, I don't have my diary, but here's my arm."
Right.
And she sticks her arm out, and Jonathan's like, "All right." And he just started signing her arm, and then
everybody,
mayhem, the joy and the happiness and the smiling and the kids giggling, and they're just all sticking their arms out, trying to get their arms signed.
I don't think you can. There was screaming. It was loud, and it was joyful, and it was so much fun. And it is something that they will remember.
It is, and I'm so glad that you called to be the catalyst to set this up, because later that night, Jonathan said something to me. He said, that was a really unbelievable experience for me. Thank you for setting that up.
Anytime that you want to bring Jonathan Roumie back to St. Gertrude's, that would be fine.
Absolutely. It was really neat to tie into him as well, that St. Gertrude in Madeira, Ohio was actually the very soil where the first Catholic men's conference ever in the United States was conceived. 5 men met there for coffee, and that's actually where they came up with this idea, hey, let's have a conference where they'll hear a motivational speech about the Catholic faith. So to bring all that full circle to Jonathan to arrive because of you on the 100th anniversary was just an unbelievable tie-in, So
thank you.
What a fun experience, huh?
It was fun.